I had to listen to the spirits of the forest that day. I must have paid attention to the signs that gave me nature, but I'm not listening. And therefore, all my contributions paid a price that still torments me inside. My name is Cowie. I was born and raised in the sacred lands of the Yawanawa village, in the heart of the Amazon jungle. Here, where the green is so intense that it seems to paint the soul, where the rivers sing ancestral songs and the trees keep centuries-old secrets. This has always been my home. The only place I know. He was 32 years old when everything happened. He was considered one of the best hunters of the tribe. My father, whoever the spirits were carried, taught me everything since I was a child. How to trace a tapir in the thick jungle, how to listen to the silence of the forest and understand what it says, how to respect each animal, each plant, each piece of earth that we step on. Cowie, my priest, always said, holding me on his shoulder with these strong and callous hands, "The forest gives us everything, but I can also leave it all behind. Never forget it. Respect, and always respect it." I always followed traditions. I always asked the spirits for permission before hunting. Always give thanks for every animal that came to feed my family, my wife, Ayani, and our children, Tupa, 8 years old, and the little Yara of so much soil, 5. They were my life. My reason to get up every day and go to the woods to look for food. Our village was not big. We were around 120 people. 8 wooden and thatched huts, arranged in a circle around the central house, where our boss Rayoni ruled and where we celebrated our meetings and parties. We all know each other. We were like a family. The children played together in the river, the women wove and prepared the food together, the men hunted and protected the village together. It was a simple life, but it was our life. It was a good life. Until that October day, I remember it like it was yesterday. The sky was heavy, full of dark clouds that seemed to portend a storm, but not light. The air was humid, hot, and difficult to breathe. From an early age, I felt that something was different. The birds were too loud. The wind didn't whisper among the trees as usual. Even the monoliths, which always make noise in the treetops, remained silent. "Are you going hunting today?" Ayani asked me this morning, while she was preparing the kiss for the night. I had a way of speaking sweetly, a voice that always reassured me, no matter how worried I was. "Yes, I will," I replied, adjusting my bow and arrows. Little Tupa ate all the meat he had left. This child is growing up too fast. I dreamed, trying to hide the strange sensation that oppressed my chest. "Be careful, Cowie," I say, looking at myself with those deep, worried eyes. "I feel something strange in the environment today." "I also feel it," I confessed, kissing him in front. "But the village needs food. I'll be back before sunset." I took my instruments and headed to the main house, where some men were meeting for the first talk of the day. There was my cousin Arana, my best friend since childhood, tall, strong, always with a smile on his face, even in the most difficult situations. "Cowie, are you going into the woods?" asked, making a gesture with her hand. "I'm leaving. Do you want to come with me?" He shook his head. "Not today. The boss Rayoni asked me to help repair the roof of the prayer house. The rain from last week came from the roof of the prayer house. Accordingly, then you'll go alone." Chief Rayoni, an old man of more than 70 years with long white hair and his own wisdom, who has lived for a long time, came close to me. He walked slowly, supporting himself on his tall wooden stick. "Cowie, my son," I say in a deep voice, full of experience, "be careful today. The spirits are restless. I see it. A cold scald covered my back. If the boss felt it, then something was definitely wrong. Be careful, Chief. You know I always have it." I looked steadily at my eyes, as if I could see through me. "Lo, sir, but today you have to be more careful. Don't get too upset. If you see something strange, something that doesn't belong in the forest, it returns immediately." "Is that understood?" "Yes, sir. I understand, but I didn't understand it. Not at all. I did not understand the seriousness of this warning. That was my first mistake." Enter the woods around early morning. The sun was high, but its light only managed to penetrate the thickness of the trees. The forest was lost in an unsettling silence. My bare feet stepped on the wet leaves, producing a slight noise that seemed to resonate with more force than it should have. I walk for more than an hour, following the paths I know at my fingertips. Search for signs of animals, leaves, excrements, broken branches, but everything was extraordinarily clean, as if the animals grew louder than the area. I went to the Pedros Bronco stream, a sacred place for our tribe. When I was there, a grown, weak, distant, but definitely human. I was stopped immediately, with all my senses on maximum alert. The heart made me bark faster. Pretend the bow with more strength, with the arrow ready. The moaning was repeated. It came from the east, near the big rocks. My instinct screamed at me that he had returned. He had run back to the town and warned the boss. But someone was here, someone who needs help. And our tradition has always been helping those in need. Spirit of the forest, murmured in our ancestral language, protect me, guide my steps. Move forward slowly, with caution, towards the sound. Every step calculated, every movement precise. Years of hunting taught me to be as silent as a jaguar. And then I saw it. Supported against one of the white rocks, there was a man, but he wasn't a man of the woods. He was not indigenous. He was a white man. He was wearing strange clothes, dark green pants, very torn and stained with blood, and a light-colored shirt soaked in sweat and mud. He had short, brown hair and a pale gray face. He was conscious, but clearly seriously injured. When he saw me, his eyes opened immeasurably in fear. Please, he whispered in Portuguese, a language I learned from the missionaries who visited our town years ago. Please, help me, help me. His right leg was at an odd angle, fractured, no doubt, and he had an inherited female on his left arm, which was bleeding profusely. I had to march then. I should have heard from the boss. I must have listened to the spirits. But I saw this man in agony, and everything I saw was a human being in need of help. How sorry were you? Asked in Portuguese, keeping at a distance. I fell, I say with ragged breaths, each word with a painful tone. From a ravine, I was exploring, investigating plants. I'm scientific. Please, can you help me? I'm going to die here. The tears began to flow down his soft face. I was scared. I'm afraid of dying alone in those woods. And like an idiot, I felt sorry for them. Are you alone? He asked, looking around in search of other people. Yes, yes, I was alone. My camp is not far from here. I got lost a few days ago. No water, no food, please, double quotes of the days. I'm there. I suffocate. For 2 days. Slowly lower the bow and approach me. I stood at his side and examined his inheritances. His leg was broken and the cut on his arm was deep. Urgent attention or death is needed. How do we call you? Ask you, while you find some medicinal herbs that you always carried with me in my leather bag. Marcus? My name is Marcus Oliveira. I'm a biologist. From São Paulo, I was studying the flora of the region. Accordingly. Marcus, my name is Cowie. I will help you. But you have to trust me, understand? I felt like despair. Yes, whatever you want. Just leave here. Please, double quotes. Use the leaves to make a paste and apply it to the arm's inheritance, stopping the bleeding. Then, tear off a piece of clothing and improvise a tourniquet. For the leg, I'd need more help. I would tend to take him to the people, and then it was when I made my second mistake. The mistake that would cost me everything. I'll take you to my village, I say. There we have flames and healers. They can take better care of you than you, a town asked in surprise. Is there a town nearby? Forks? I spend a few hours walking, but you can't walk. I tend to carry part of the road in my arms and try to get help. Thank you very much. You're saving my life. Double quotes. His tone seemed sincere. His eyes seemed honest. He really looked like a lost man, a scientist who had been struggling in the woods. But appearances are deceiving, and I was about to learn it out of my suitcases. Marcus helped get up, supporting him with my help. I was heavy, and the road back would be difficult, but I was strong. I could do it. We started walking slowly. I groaned in pain with each step, and I had to stop often so I could rest. Have you lived here for a long time? He asked, trying to start a conversation, maybe to distract himself from the pain. My people have lived in this forest for hundreds of years, I replied with pride. This is our sacred land, our home. It must be incredible, living like this, so connected with nature. It's the only life I know, the only life I want to know. We remained silent like a mouse. The sun began to lean towards the west when we were finally close enough for the people to be able to shout for help. Arana, Arana, shout out to all my strengths. It wasn't long before my cousin appeared, running through the woods, followed by other men from the tribe. When I saw myself with the white man, his face became serious. "Cowie, what did you miss?" he asked, with concern evident in his voice. "If I was dying in the woods, I couldn't let go." Arana looked at Marcus, left me, and negotiated with her head. "The boss won't taste this, I know, but it was correct." We, Marcus, helped get to the village. When they entered the circle of communal houses, everyone was detained. Women, children, men, all looked with surprise and fear at the stranger that I had betrayed. Then Chief Rayoni came out of the main house. His face, normally calm and serene, was tense. If he approached us and looked at Marcus, he left me. The silence was deafening. Cowie, his voice was low, but full of disappointment that hurt more than any scream. "What did you wear in our village?" "Boss," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "I found this man dying in the woods. He fell by a ravine, with the broken leg and serious heritage. I couldn't let him die." Chief Rayoni looked at me steadily for long seconds. His ancestral eyes seemed to read every single one of my thoughts. Nearby, the whole town was gathered in silence. Watching the scene, Marcus was in pain beside me, on the verge of fainting. His weight increased on me and Arana. "Take him to the visitor's cabin," the boss finally ordered in a deep voice. "Call the Shamana Ainaya, may he heal his inheritances." Then he turned to me with a severe gaze. "Cowie, come with me, we need to talk. If you sent me your heart," I recognized that tone. I was in trouble. I helped take Marcus to the small hut that we used for the few visitors we received, generally other indigenous people from local tribes. We got into a hammock, and shortly after we reached the Ainaya flame, she was a woman of about 60 years old, small, with a face covered in traditional paintings and the most penetrating eyes I had ever seen. When I saw Marcus, I saw the scene. "White man," he murmured, more to himself than to others. "There's been a lot that I haven't seen one around here." He began to examine his inheritances with expert brows. "Will it be all right?" I asked. "He will survive," he replied dryly, "but you will need time to recover. He has a very fractured leg. You won't be able to walk for weeks." Weeks. The word resonated in my head like a warning bell. Thank you very much," Marcus murmured. I was half delirious with pain and exhaustion. I left the longhouse and went straight to the main house, where Chief Rayoni was waiting for me. My wife Ayani intercepted me on the way, with little Yara in her arms and Tupa at her side. "Cowie, what's going on?" asked with concern reflected on his face. "I mean, you dressed like a white man in the town." "That's right," I admitted, passing my hand over her tired face. "You find him dead in the woods. The elderly won't like this. You know what happened the last time white men came here? I knew it. We all knew it. Years ago, white men arrived saying that they wanted to help our tribe, which betrayed progress. In the end, they just wanted to delimit land to build a road. They caused confusion, divided the village, and only the wisdom of the leader managed to expel them before they caused greater damage. This is different," I argued, even if a voice in my interior already doubted it. "It's scientific. Stand alone, studying plants. It doesn't represent anyone's threat." Ayani looked at me with those eyes that knew every detail of me. "I hope you're right. I really hope so." I looked at the front and went to the main house. Inside, Chief Rayoni was sitting on his bench, smoking his traditional pipe. The humor ascended in slow spirals, filling the room with the aroma of sacred herbs. "Sit down, Cowie," I say, without looking at me. I sat in front of him, with my legs crossed, waiting. The silence prolonged. It was part of our way of being, not rushing words, leaving them to emerge in due time. Finally, the boss spoke. "Do you remember what I said to you this morning?" "Yes, boss. I tell you that you would be careful, that you would come back if you saw something strange." "What could be more strange than a white man alone in our forest?" "Lower your head, I was right." I don't think, boss. I only saw a suffering man. A human being who needed help." "Your heart was stronger than your reason," he said. exhaling a large mouthful of humor. That's not why it's bad, Cowie. Compassion is an important quality, but compassion without wisdom can be dangerous. Do you think I was wrong? I have returned to silence, watching the man rise. I suppose time will tell you, but yes, I'm worried. White men, even when they seem harmless, bring problems. It's always like that. I say, he's alone. He's lost while he's investigating plants. As long as he recovers, he'll go, the boss murmured skeptically. We'll see. For now, stay in the visitor's hut. Nobody speaks without my permission. Inaya will heal his inheritance, and while he can walk, he will take him back to his place of origin. Understood? Yes, boss, understood. You can go. And Cowie, he shouted at me when I was on my feet. Watch him. Don't trust everyone. Never. These words should have been enough. It's up to me to pay more attention. But I was so convinced that he had it right, so sure that Marcus was just an unfortunate man, that he didn't give the warning about the importance he deserved. That was my third mistake. The first 3 days passed with relative tranquility. Marcus remained in the longhouse recovering. I started taking care of him, preparing medicines and changing the bandages. Tend the immobilized leg with wooden boards and liana bandages. Our chameleon was extremely skillful. I visited Marcus once every day, bringing water and food. He was always grateful. He was always very polite. You're incredible, I said, while I ate the fish while I was betrayed. This knowledge about plants, natural remedies, is fascinating. It is precisely this type of knowledge that must be preserved. This knowledge has always been preserved, I replied. For hundreds of years, we have transmitted it from generation to generation. Yes, of course, I quickly agree. I didn't want to decide that you don't know how to store it. I just wanted to decide that the outside world needs to know it, needs to value it. Something about the way I said the world was gone bothered me, but it has already passed. Do you have family, Marcus? I asked him, trying to know better. His face darkened. Yeah, my wife ... has left me for years. I decided I was married to my job, not to her. And I had reasons, sigh. We don't have any children. Now we are alone in my investigation. At that moment, I felt sorry for him. Imagine what it would be like to be alone, without Ayani, without my children. It must be terrible. I feel it, I say sincerely. Me too. But what does it take to do? Life goes on. Quickly changed the topic. How long do you think you have to leave me here? I say that the leg should be immobilized for at least 3 weeks. After that, you can start walking with help. It seemed uncomfortable with that. 3 weeks? Come on, that's a lot of time. My equipment, my camp, everything is out there in the woods. Where exactly is your camp? A few hours south of here, I think. About a big river. But the truth is that, after getting lost, I don't know exactly where it is. That should also have alerted me. How is it possible that someone couldn't get over where their own camp was located? But, again, I justify myself taking back lost and inherited days. Of course, you were confused. On the 4th day, something happened. I was teaching Tupa how to make arrows when Arana was running around here. Cowie, you have to see this. Due to the urgency in his voice, he is supposed to speak seriously. I got up immediately and followed him. We went to the outskirts of the town, where some young warriors patrolled. What was it? I asked. One of the young people, Cow, came to the forest. I saw strange movements there, something that reflected light, like metal. If he bleeds me, I'll bleed. Are you safe? Absolutely. I saw it 3 times. Always in the same place, there in that direction. He pointed to the east. It could have been an animal, Arana suggested, but his voice sounded unconvinced. The animals don't reflect the light like that, Cow insisted. It seemed that we brought together some prismatics. Someone was watching us. Then I thought about Marcus. I used to say that I was alone. But, if it's not there, let the boss know, I said, feeling a growing pressure on my chest. When I told Chief Rayoni about what Cow had seen, his face became even more serious. Double the patrols, ordered day and night, and betray this white man here, right now. They brought Marcus, who was still holding her, supported by the crutches that he had on hand. Her face was pale, whether due to pain or nerves. Marcus, I said the boss in Portuguese, surprising everyone. He rarely used the white people's language. You said you were alone, but we have reason to believe that there are others in the woods, others watching us. Marcus's face reflected confusion. Others? No, no, I'm completely alone, I'm sure of him. So, how do you explain that someone is watching us with binoculars? Prismatic? He asked, visibly surprised. Chief, I swear by the sacred thing that comes from the ground. If there is someone in the woods, it's not for me. Maybe other researchers or poachers. This region sometimes attracts these types of people. The boss studied it carefully. You also observe Marcus trying to detect signs of lies. But he seemed honest. He really seemed to know nothing. Very good, I finally say, the boss. But I don't leave the Maloka without an escort. If we discover that you lie to us, the consequences will be serious. Yes, sir, of course, I understand. That night, the whole town was in town. The patrols were doubled. The men slept with their weapons at their sides. The women kept the children close. I could only sleep. Don't stop thinking. Do you ever put my tribune in danger? If Marcus was lying, if it was all just a trap, Ayani noticed my restlessness. Can't you sleep? He whispered, in the darkness. I'm worried. Are you putting our family at risk? I took it, bro. You did what you believed was correct. You couldn't blame yourself for it, but what would happen if it doesn't make sense to think about what happened to you? Now, we must be alert and protect our village. Together, I was right. Always there. Next morning, more strange signs. Footprints in the clay near the river, boot shells, several. It contains at least 3 distinct personas, Arana tells me, crouching down to examine the marks, and it was here all night. What are you doing? I don't know. But whatever it is, it's nothing good. I faced Marcus again. This time I was less compassionate and more suspicious. Marcus, we found footprints. Footprints in boots. Several people were standing around the town during the night. He paled. Cowie, I tell you, it's nothing like this. Why are you lying? You saved me. You're taking care of me. Who are these people? Don't know. Began to despair. Maybe? Will you follow me? Are you the company that finances my investigation and is looking for me? Company? Which company? Biogen? It's a pharmaceutical company. It finances research into medicinal plants in the Amazon, but I work independently. I don't have to be here. This makes me even more nervous. And if they are, what do they want? Data shows information about plants. He paused, realizing something. Unless, no, it couldn't be. What I asked. I have heard rumors that the company was looking for. Look, only rumors. According to what? I felt anger rising to my chest. Do you use us? Was it all a ruse to find us? Node? He exclaimed, raising his hands in defense signal. I swear to you, Cowie, you really had an accident. I really lost myself. But if Biogen followed me, if they buried themselves in you because of me, tears began to flow through their walls. My God, I feel very much I didn't know what to believe. I didn't know which was true and which was a lie. The only thing he knew was that, from the moment he wore this man to our village, our peace had been destroyed, and the worst was yet to come. That same afternoon, everything fell apart. I was with Chief Rayoni and the elders, discussing what to do in the situation, when we heard screams coming from the entrance to the town. Boss, they're coming. It was Cow, running desperately, with sweat dripping down his face. There are many people, armed men, they come along the main path. The heart barked at me a mile a minute. Grab my bow and run with the other warriors. When I arrived at the entrance to the village, I saw something that I would never forget. 8 men, all white, all dressed in exploration clothing, and everyone, absolutely everyone, armed. In front of them was a tall man, about 50 years old, with gray hair, mirrored sunglasses, and a smile that made me bleed. He raised a hand in a gesture that seemed friendly, but his fingers firmly held a pistol. Hello, shouted in Portuguese, maintaining that fake smile. We come in peace. We are looking for a new colleague, Marcus Oliveira, a biologist. Have you seen it? Chief Rayoni took a step forward, leaning on his staff. Even in his life, he radiated authority. This is private land, indigenous land. You are not allowed to be here. The man laughed, a dry laugh without humor. Private land? My friend, this entire forest belongs to Brazil. We all have the necessary permissions. Take some paper out of the bag and shake it in the air. Biogen, pharmaceutical, scientific research authorized by the government, all legal and in order. We do not recognize this authorization, the boss said firmly. Go away right now. The man's smile faded. Look, we don't want any problems. We only want our companion, Marcus. We know he's here. Give it to us and we'll go. It's as simple as that. And if we deny ourselves, he asked, defiantly, taking a step forward, with his bow ready. The man looked at me, and at that moment I saw his true nature, cold, calculator, dangerous. Then, things get ugly, and you don't want that. Arrows versus modern rifles. He shook his head. Don't be dizzy, it was a clear threat. And because of the way in which the other men placed their weapons, we assumed that they were not boasting. Wait, shouted a voice to our backs. It was Marcus, who was clinging to his crutches and getting closer. Dr. Carvalho, here I am. The man, Dr. Carvalho, smiled broadly. Marcus, thanks to God. We were so worried when you didn't get back to the camp. Marcus approached us. Without alienation. I had an accident. Saved me? Take care of me? How wonderful, says Carvalho, but his tone is far from being sincere. So we came to look for you. Can we go? It was then when I noticed something strange. Marcus didn't look relieved. He looked scared. Dr. Carvalho, says Marcus cautiously, what did we hear here? He says he is working independently on this expedition. Plan change. Marcus, the board decided that we needed faster results. And since you didn't answer us, good, we came to check it out. His gaze went towards the town that we had behind. And look at what we found. A heartfelt tribute, intact. With ancestral knowledge about medicinal plants, it makes your mouth water. These are pure gold. Marcus? Pure prayer. No, I say Marcus, denying it with my head. No, no, no. We are not going to exploit these people. I won't allow it. Carvalho returned to fight. You're not going to allow it? Marcus, work for me. For Biogen. And let's do our work. Without your permission. The boss hits the ground with his stick. Enough. Let go of everyone right now. Or... What? Carvalho interrupted, with an aggressive voice. Now, dude, don't understand. It's not a request. Let's study this tribute, documenting its knowledge about medicinal plants, and you will cooperate. Never shout. And all the warriors who stood by my side took up their weapons. Then it happened when everything happened too quickly. One of Carvalho's men fired in the air. The noise was deafening. The kids started screaming. The women ran to protect them. The next shot won't be in the air, Carvalho said. Now, let us all calm down and let us act as civilized people. You are not civilized, I snapped. You are invaders, thieves. We are scientific, he corrected, and we are doing important work. Plants from this region can cure illnesses and save lives, but we need your knowledge to identify them correctly. And we earn millions by selling medicines made with our knowledge, says the boss. It wasn't a question, it was a statement. Carvalho shrugged. That's how the world works, old man. Knowledge has value, and let's extract that value in one way or another. Marcus takes a step forward, interposing himself between us and Carvalho. Doctor, please. These people will save me. We can't stop them. Marcus, get out of the way. Node. That's wrong, and you know. Carvalho sighed, as if he had dealt with a testy child. Then, with a quick movement, he took out his pistol and aimed it directly at Marcus's head. I said, get out of the way. Marcus remained paralyzed, with his eyes wide open. Slowly, with fearful brothers, he broke down. It was then when Arana, my cousin, my best friend, the man I considered a brother, I did something I never imagined. I let go of the bow and took a step forward. Enough, we're not going to die for this. What is exactly what you want, Arana? No, shouted, but you ignored me. Ah, finally someone sensitive, said Carvalho, lowering the gun and smiling. We want to access your version to several medicinal plants. A variety of healing methods. We will document everything. We will collect samples and let us go. Simple. If we give you this, do you swear that you will leave us in peace? Word of honor. A man had a word of honor that was worthless, and we all knew it, but Arauna tried to save time, trying to avoid a massacre. The boss also reports on this. Very good, I say slowly, with each word spoken. We will cooperate. But only your leader will enter the village. Others will fall here, Carvalho reflected for a moment. Acceptable. But my men remain armed and alert. Any strange movement, and he made a gesture with his weapon that makes the rest clear. What happened in the following hours was humiliating. Carvalho enters the village with his men. It forced Inaya, our name, to show the plants we used, to explain the recipes, to reveal secrets transmitted from generation to generation for centuries. He cried while he was there. Silent tears ran down his painted face. But I did, because the alternative was violence. It was all photographed. They wrote it all down. They collected samples at all. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get worse, something happened that changed everything forever. Little Yara, a 5-year-old girl, played near her childhood when Carvalho was there. In his childhood innocence, he did not understand the danger. I ran back and took off my pants. Are you a friend of Uncle Marcus? Asked with your sweet you. Carvalho looked at him with disdain. Get out of my way, girl. But Yara didn't understand it. It stopped there, curious. And Carvalho unceremoniously pushed her. My daughter fell in the ground and hit her head with a distaff. The sound of the impact resonated in my heart. I started crying. The blood was flowing in front of him. Something broke inside me. I didn't even think about it. My body acted on instinct. I grabbed my bow, placed an arrow, and aimed directly at Carvalho's heart. "No, Kawe!" shouted Marcus. But the anger blinded me. That man had pitied my daughter, my little one, my innocent Yara. I released the arrow. Why furrow the air with speed and precision? Years of hunting, practice, and dexterity? I wouldn't fail. But one of Carvalho's men was faster. I fired a shot, not in me, in Arana, my cousin, who was interposed between me and that arrow, trying to stop me. Trying to avoid the conflict it would cause. The shot ranged out in his chest, down in the ground, with blood gushing out of the legacy. Arana, shouting, running back and forth, everything turned into chaos. The warriors of the tribe attacked. The outsiders opened fire. Screams, bleed, the gunpowder smoke mixes with the forest air. Marcus was shouting something, trying to stop the violence, but he couldn't hear it. Take Arana in my arms. His eyes stared at me steadily, losing focus. Cowie, he whispered, with blood dripping from his mouth. Protect? At the tribute? No. Scream. Hold on. The name will cure you. Hold on. But I knew. For the size of the legacy, for the quantity of blood, for the way of breathing, I knew it. I feel. Not having listened to you, I tried to smile. You were right from the beginning. No skills like that. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. But he wasn't well. Arana, my cousin, my brother, my best friend since we were children, running through the woods, lying in my arms. And it's all my fault if I hadn't betrayed Marcus. If not, you will ignore the warnings. If you hadn't shot that arrow. The shooting lasted less than 5 minutes, but it seemed like an eternity. In the end, 3 warriors from our tribe will be heroes. An anointing of gravity. Arana died. In the other group, Carvalho's men were inherited by arrows. I'm not dead. Carvalho miraculously emerged unharmed. My arrow had reached the shoulder of one of his men who had moved at the wrong moment. You will pay me, Carvalho shouted furiously as his men dragged him out of the town. You will pay dearly. Go back to the police, with the army, destroy this whole town. Then they fled, running back to the forest. Marcus stood there paralyzed by the emotion, looking at Arana's body, the blood in the dirt, the chaos that had been unleashed. I feel so much, he murmured. I didn't know it wasn't my intention. I looked at him. At that moment, I felt a hatred that had never been felt before. Out, he says in a low voice, but full of venom. Get out of our village right now, Cowie. Out. I screamed, and my scream echoed throughout the village. Keep us dressed in this suit. Support your friends. Arona is dead because of her fault. So I take your things and leave them out of my sight before what ends. Marcus, with tears in his eyes, picked up his crutches and started thinking about leaving the town. Miro was behind once, with his mouth open as if he were trying to decide something, but I thought better of it and continued walking. That night was the darkest night of my life. We buried Arana according to our traditions. We sing sacred songs, we paint your face with the colors of our ancestors, and we deposited it on the ground, back in the forest that we love so much. His mother cried so much that she fainted. His wife was in a state of shock, unable to accept his death. His 3 little children didn't understand why their priest didn't wake up. And the first, I was devastated. That night Ayani hugged me with strength. "It's not your fault," he whispered. "It wasn't your fault, but that's how it was." I knew it. The worst part is that Carvalho's threat was not unfounded. 3 days later, they returned. But this time it wasn't 8 men, it was 20, with bad weapons, more equipment, and a determination that I can understand. I can't get what I want. Or even destroy us completely. When I saw 20 armed men approaching the town, I thought we had 2 options: fight and die, hide and abandon everything that was ours. Chief Rayoni gathered everyone in the main house, women, children, elders, warriors. Everyone was there, with fear reflected on their faces. "My people," I say in a tired but firm voice, "we face an impossible decision. If we fight, many will die. Our weapons are no rival to their swords. If we fail, we will be enslaved, forced to surrender our secrets, our dignity." I paused, looking at each one of us. "That's why I propose that we flee. Let us enter the deep forest, where these men cannot follow us, where we will be safe." "Abandon our village?" shouted the mother of Arana, still devastated by the loss of her son. "Abandon the land where our ancestors are buried? Where did we just bury my son? To survive?" "Yes," replied the boss, and I could see tears in his eyes. "That's not what I want, but that's what needs to be done." I looked at Ayani, who supported Yara even with the sail at the front, and Tupa, who tried to be brave but was always scared. "I have to do it the other way," I said, putting my foot down. "I cannot accept that. After centuries here, we are expelled by the code of white men." Cowie, the boss, looked at me with deep sadness. "You were the one in this outfit. You were the one who opened the door. Now, it's not up to you to decide." Your words hit me like arrows, because they were sure it was all my fault. Before he could respond, we heard screams from outside. "Come on, go everyone, we want to talk." It was Carvalho. "I have returned, just as I promised." We left the main house. The 20 men were standing in a semicircle at the entrance to the town, all armed and with stern faces, but this time something was different. Between them, tied up and with his bruised face, lay Marcus. "Marcus!" he shouted without thinking. Carvalho smiled at the worm. "Coe, the Arkshay, I think you would like to see your friend again. What did they do? What did we do? This traitor tried to denounce us. He even went to the city, trying to contact Funai, the federal police, talking about the invasion of indigenous lands and threats." Carvalho slapped Marcus on the back of the head, making him stagger, as if someone were to believe a failed investigator against a multi-million-dollar company. Marcus looked up and, through his dead eye and broken lip, looked at me. "Cowie, I'm trying to arrange. What's causing ... double quotes. Something changed inside me in that instant. For days he had blamed Marcus for everything. I hated him. Wish for your death. But there he was, devastated. After having tried to help us, knowing that it would be dangerous for him, you probably made me wrong in judging." "Very comfortable," Carvalho joked. "But enough with the drama. This is what is going to happen. You will give us complete access to your knowledge. You will cooperate fully. After all, we won't kill you. So simple. What happens if we deny ourselves?" "Right to the boss." Carvalho says a sign. One of his men attacked an unlucky boy with his weapon, a boy who was about 6 years old and was still lying near his mother. The sound of the mother resonated throughout the town. "That's your answer," said Carvalho coldly. "Cooperate or see your children die one by one." He was a monster, a true monster. We were ready to follow along, ready to do anything, when we heard a sound that I never thought would make me so happy to hear in my life. Helicopters? 2 of them, emerging above the trees, approached quickly. Carvalho's face turned pale. "No, how? ... The helicopters landed in a clear area, and men in uniform stood out. Federal Police, Funai, National Indian Foundation, and To my absolute surprise, television cameras, Dr. Ricardo Carvalho. One of the police shouted, approaching the unfounded weapon. He is arrested for the destruction of indigenous lands, threats, aggression, and attempts at piracy. Carvalho tried to leave, but he was quickly surrounded and reduced. Their men, when faced with disadvantage, let go of their weapons and were destroyed. Everything happened so quickly that I could barely assimilate it. A man in a costume, who seemed to be from Funai, approached us. Chief Rioni, I'm the coordinator, Silva. We received a detailed report on what was happening here. We saw it as quickly as we could. A complaint, the boss asked, confused. About who? Marcus, still tied up, smiled a twisted smile across his bruised face. Before they bother me, I can send everything, photos, videos, recordings, to several agencies. Go to the press, ... A journalist approaches a camera. Son, we are of the Yawanawa Tribune. Can we speak? All Brazil needs to know what they intended to do. In the following hours, everything turned into a whirlwind. Testimonials, photographs, interviews, Carvalho's men were arrested. Marcus was transferred to receive medical attention before going up to the helicopter with him. He ran there, Marcus, I shouted. If I say the turn, I will be surprised at the worm. The words don't come out easily. I misjudge you. You saved us. He shook his head. No, Cowie, you saved me first. When you found me in the woods dying, you could have abandoned me. But you didn't miss it. You showed me compassion, humanity. And that reminds me of what it should be. Tears ran down his face. I caused all this. It was my job to arrange it. Arana died because you interrupted me with a broken voice. And I will carry this guilt for the rest of my life. But at least, at least I can avoid murdering bad people. May your Tribune not be destroyed. Extend it, bro? I seemed surprised and gave me a stretch. Thank you, he says sincerely. You saved us. You saved my family. To my people, it was the least I could do. And then he marched into the hospital and later testifying against Carvalho and Biogen in court. In the following days, our town became national news. The intention of piracy, the threats, the violence, everything came out of the light. Biogen was fined millions, lost its licenses, and finally broke. Carvalho was arrested and sentenced to 15 years in prison. But for us, for the Yawanawa tribe, the heritage remained. Arana was still dead. Confidence was broken. The trauma persisted. At Arana's final funeral, where we celebrated all the appropriate traditional ceremonies, Chief Rioni delivered a speech that will never be forgotten. My people, he began, with his voice resonating in the forest where we were gathered, we lost a child, a warrior, to brother. Arana died protecting what was fair, protecting your tribe, protecting Kowe, his soul brother. He looked at me and continued, Kowe made a mistake, a big mistake. I put our village in danger when I trusted someone I didn't know. But this mistake arose out of kindness, out of compassion, out of humanity. The true error, I say, raising my voice with greater firmness, was not Cowie's fault. They were those men who came from our kindness as weakness, our compassion as opportunity, and our knowledge as merchandise. The truth is not that we have to stop being compassionate. We don't have to help those in need. The lesson is that we have to be wise. We have to protect what is ours. We have to know when to trust and when to question. He approached me and put his hand on my shoulder. Cowie, you didn't kill Arana. You killed greedy men, men without a soul. And you, in saving Marcus, ended up saving us all. Because in the end, it was Marcus who saved us. Tears ran down my face. But if I hadn single quotes t ... life is full of you, interrupted me. If you wanted Marcus to die, today you would be a different man, a tougher man, more cold. Would it be better? Don't worry, nobody knows. What I know, he continued, now addressing all the tribes that we must learn. Learning to balance compassion with wisdom, kindness with caution, the opening with protection, and she was right. In the following months, our village sank little by little. The physical inheritance is healed, the emotions took longer. Visit Arana's tomb every day for a year. I spoke with him, I asked for forgiveness. I promised to honor his memory by being wiser, more careful, but without ever losing my humanity. Ayani is by my side at all times. In the darkest moments when I wanted to surrender, I remembered that our children needed me, that the tribute needed me, that Arana would not die if she wanted to be a worm consumed by guilt. Marcus visited us once. A year later, it had changed. He spent his life as a corporate investigator. Now I work as an activist, defending indigenous rights and fighting against biopiracy. Arana taught me, I said when we visited the tomb together, that some sacrifices are worth it, that protecting what is right is worth more than life itself. I nodded silently. Today, 5 years later, I am a different man. Greater, wiser, more prudent, but still compassionate, just human. Tupa is now 13 years old and is learning to hunt. Yara is 10 years old and is the smartest girl in the town. Ayani is embarrassed by our 3rd birthday, an honor she never imagined having again. The people prospered thanks to the attention of communication media. We achieved greater legal protection. We managed to obtain resources for education, health, and the preservation of our culture, but the price was high. Every time I contemplate Aruna's tomb, I remember its price. So, if you're listening to me now, if you're listening to my story, let me give you the advice that I learned about the suitcase. Be compassionate, help anyone who needs it. But, be careful, protect yourself, consider your intentions. Do not allow your kindness to be used against you. In the world there are good people, like Marcus, but there are also bad people. As always was Falhu, and knowing how to distinguish between the two can mean the difference between life and death. It's a question of choosing between preserving your tax or losing it. My name is Kawi. I am a Yawanawa warrior, and this is my story. A story of error, loss, redemption, and learning. A story that I hope will serve as a lesson so that others don't make the same mistakes as you. Because some mistakes are still alive, and some lives, like Arana's, are too precious to lose. May the spirits of the forest protect you. May wisdom guide your steps, and that never loses its humanity. But also its caution, because true strength lies in the balance between compassion and wisdom. This is my story. This is my testimony. This is my lesson. And I hope, with all my heart, that you learn from her. Without having to pay the price you pay,